The cold wasn't the first thing I felt. At first, it was just confusion. A thick, soupy fog in my brain as I stared at my own mother's face, framed by the warm, golden light of the doorway. The Christmas lights my dad had put up last weekend. The ones I'd driven over to help him with because his back was acting up again. They twinkled cheerfully around her head like a twisted halo. The smell of roasted turkey and pine needles drifted out, a scent so deeply tied to every Christmas I'd ever known. A scent that, until that moment, had always meant home. She smiled, but it wasn't her real smile. It was the one she used for strangers at the grocery store. Smooth, polished, utterly vacant. "Sorry," she said, her voice like glass. "I think you have the wrong house." I just stood there, my brain trying to catch up. My breath misted in the icy air, a ghostly puff of disbelief. I could hear laughter inside. My brother Adam's booming laugh. The light tinkling laugh of my Aunt Carol. The clinking of glasses. This was a joke. It had to be. Some cruel, elaborate prank they'd cooked up. "Mom." I managed a weak laugh catching in my throat. "What are you talking about?" "Very funny. It's freezing out here." Her expression didn't change. Not a flicker. The smile stayed perfectly in place, but her eyes were miles away. Empty. "I'm sorry," she repeated, the words perfectly articulated. "I don't recognize you." "Are you serious?" The words tore out of me, louder than I intended. "It's me. It's Jacob." And then, the click. It wasn't a slam. It was worse. It was a firm, quiet, final click as the door swung shut, leaving me alone on the doorstep. I stared at the wood grain of the door I'd helped my dad revarnish last summer. The cold I hadn't felt before now rushed in, a physical thing, biting through my coat, my sweater, my skin, and sinking straight into my bones. But the real chill came from the sound bleeding through the walls. The laughter inside didn't stop. It continued, carefree and warm, completely indifferent to the sun they'd just locked out. I stumbled back, my feet clumsy on the icy porch steps. The world tilted slightly. My car, parked at the curb, seemed a million miles away. My hand, numb even inside my glove, fumbled for my phone as it buzzed in my pocket. Adam Dot. My brother's name flashed on the screen. A surge of relief, so powerful it almost buckled my knees. Okay, it's a prank. He's calling to tell me to come around back." I answered, my voice tight, trying to sound annoyed instead of shattered. "Yeah? Hey," he began, and his tone was wrong. It wasn't laughing. It was a strange mix of pity and profound irritation. "Listen, don't be upset, but we couldn't let you in." The world stopped. The buzzing in my ears became a roar. "What?" I whispered, my eyes fixed on the glowing windows of the house. My house. The house my money kept standing. "You don't know how things are right now, okay?" He sighed, the sound staticky. "It's complicated. Just please don't make a scene." A scene. My throat closed up. My voice cracked into a dry rasp. Scene? And then I heard it. A muffled voice in the background, a woman's laugh. Maybe my aunt. And then Adam, his voice lowered, but not enough. He must have thought he'd moved the phone away from his mouth. He was talking to someone else in that warm, bright room. He still thinks helping with rent means he's automatically included. Silence. Not a normal silence. It was a vacuum. A crushing, absolute void that sucked all the air from my lungs, all the warmth from the universe. He thought I was still on the line, but he'd forgotten to hang up. No, wait. He didn't forget. He just didn't care. He didn't care if I heard. Automatically included. The words echoed in the void. A quiet, final gunshot. I don't remember hanging up. I don't remember walking to my car. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in the driver's seat, the engine off, just staring at that perfect, warm postcard house. The house I had saved from foreclosure 3 years ago when Dad's company restructured his job. The house where I'd paid for the new roof last summer because Mom said the leaks were just getting unbearable, honey. The house where my little brother Adam, lived rent-free in the basement apartment I had helped renovate. My breath came in short, angry bursts, clouding the freezing air inside my car. I wasn't their son. I was their sponsor, their silent partner, their emergency fund, their function. And tonight my function wasn't needed for the family photo. My hands, which had been trembling, were suddenly steady, rock steady. I unlocked my phone. My thumb hovered over the banking app for just a second, a final flickering moment of the old Jacob, the good son, the reliable one. Then I tapped the screen. The app opened, its sterile white and blue interface a stark contrast to the storm raging inside me. First, the automatic transfer for their rent, scheduled for the 1st of every month. My finger found the cancel button. A small pop-up asked, "Are you sure?" A bitter laugh escaped my lips. Confirm. Click. Dot. A severed rope. Next, the joint savings account. The one I'd set up for family emergencies. The one that only I ever put money into. Close account. Transfer remaining balance to primary checking. Confirm. Click. Dot. A drained well. Then, the credit cards. The secondary card on my account I had given my brother to help with gas and groceries while he finds himself. Report card lost. Stolen. Deactivate immediately. Confirm. Click. A locked door. Each tap was a punctuation mark at the end of a very, very long sentence. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel regret. I didn't even feel anger anymore. All I felt was a cold, clear, beautiful sense of finality. A quiet, liberating peace. The house stood there, glowing under the Christmas lights. A perfect picture of a perfect family. A family I was no longer funding. I started the car. As I pulled away from the curb, my phone began to vibrate. A frantic, desperate buzzing against the passenger seat. Mom, Dida. Then Dad. Then Adam. Then Aunt Carol. The screen lit up again and again and again, a strobing monument to their panic. They were probably thinking I was overreacting, that I'd cooled down, that the reliable Jacob they had built would come back online in the morning. I didn't answer. I didn't even look at the screen. I just drove. By the time I got back to my own small, quiet apartment, the screen showed 61 missed calls. I looked at the number, and for the first time in my entire adult life, I felt absolutely nothing. I wasn't always the outsider. That's the funny part. For most of my life, I was the hero. The e-fix-it kid. Jacob, the reliable one. I remember when Dad's job was restructured. He wasn't fired, they said, just demoted. His pride was shattered, but worse, his paycheck was cut in half. The bank sent a pre-foreclosure notice. I was 24. I'd just gotten my first real promotion. I was living in a shoebox apartment, eating instant noodles 5 nights a week, saving every penny for a down payment on my own place. I sat them down at the kitchen table. I remember the smell of my mom's watery coffee. I slid my bank statement across the table. "I can cover the difference," I said. "Just until you get back on your feet." My mom cried. My dad clapped me on the shoulder, his eyes watery. "You're a good son, Jacob. A good man. Just for a bit." That's what they said. A bit. Months turned into years. A bit became the new normal. I was good at helping. I was good at my job. I climbed the ladder fast. They called it luck. I called it working 80-hour weeks, skipping every vacation and watching my friends buy houses while I funneled my savings into theirs. But it was family, right? That's what family did. You sacrificed. The calls became a routine, a soft, predictable rhythm of need. "Jacob, honey, the electric bill is a little higher this month. You know how cold it's been. Could you just? Jake, Adam's having a hard time. His car needs new tires. Could you just spot him? He'll pay you back. He never did. Sweetheart, your father's been so stressed about the mortgage. It's just this one time. It was never just one time. I became their silent safety net. Invisible, until the moment they needed to fall. The first crack in my delusion appeared last Thanksgiving. I'd paid for everything. The 20-pound organic turkey, the 7 different pies, even the overpriced bottle of wine Dad insisted was the only thing worth drinking with poultry. I was exhausted but happy. We were all together. Then came the family photo. Okay, everyone, squeeze in, my Aunt Carol chirped, holding up her phone. I moved to stand next to Adam, but my mom gently put a hand on my chest, stopping me. She smiled, that vacant, public smile. Come on, Jake. Someone has to take the picture. You're so good at it. They all shuffled together. Mom, Dad, Adam, Aunt Carol, her husband. A perfect, smiling unit. I took the picture. I laughed it off. A little jab. A misunderstanding. That's all. But the little things started piling up. Like splinters under a thumbnail. Adam got a brand new SUV for his birthday. A gift from our parents, they announced proudly at the party I hosted and paid for. Later, when we were cleaning up, I asked my mom how they could afford it. She chuckled, wiping a plate. Oh, Jake, you know how it is. We made it work. Besides, you never needed anything like that. You're so independent. I learned that night that independent was the polite word for alone. The whispers started after that. Or maybe I just started hearing them. Snippets of conversation from the other room. He thinks paying a few bills makes him part of the family. That was Adam to a cousin. He's always throwing money around, but what else does he have? That was my aunt. But the worst was my mom. Always with that soft smile. That quiet, calculated cruelty. She cornered me once in the hallway after I'd mentioned my own rent was going up. You know, Jacob, she'd said, her voice a low, concerned whisper. Adam has such a bright future. He's so creative. If only you could be a little more supportive of him. Supportive? I was paying his student loans. I had covered his rent for 6 months when he quit a perfectly good job to find himself. I had co-signed on his credit card because he needed to build his credit. And when I tried to pull back, when I tried to say no, her voice would drop even lower. Soft. And so disappointed. Family is about sacrifice, Jacob. We were always there for you. Were they? I thought of my 27th birthday. The one they all forgot. I spent it alone, eating a cupcake I'd bought myself. They called 2 days later, asking if I could help them move a new couch. I thought of the hospital bill. Dad slipped on the icy porch 2 winters ago. I paid the ER bill over the phone. They didn't even tell me he was home and fine until a week later. Adam said they didn't want to bother me. I thought of the trip I'd planned with my friends. First real vacation in 5 years. Canceled. Because Adam called me at the airport crying, saying he was about to be evicted. Again. But that Christmas night, standing in the cold, staring at the door they shut in my face, the splinters all coalesced into a single sharp spike, driven straight through my heart. And then I heard his voice on the phone. He still thinks helping with rent means he's automatically included. The spike wasn't just in my heart anymore. It was in my hand, and it was time to pull it out. In Norday. Melee. The explosion took less than 24 hours. I was making coffee, enjoying the rare, beautiful silence of my apartment, when the first call I decided to answer came through. My mother. Her voice wasn't soft anymore. It was sharp, a frantic, screeching edge. Jacob, what did you do? The landlord just called. The rent wasn't paid. The emergency card isn't working. Did you? I did, I interrupted. My voice was calm, almost bored. It felt powerful. You can't just do this, she shrieked, her voice cracking. Your brother needs that card for gas. We need that rent covered. Your father is... I don't care. Silence. For the first time in our entire conversation, she had nothing to say. I could almost picture her on the other end, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. "Jacob," she finally whispered, the panic giving way to something colder, something venomous. "You are being incredibly selfish." I laughed. A real laugh. It was sharp enough to sting. "Selfish?" I asked, leaning back in my chair. "Was I selfish when I paid your electric bill last month? When I covered Dad's prescription because his insurance lapsed? Was I selfish, Mom, when I paid for Adam's entire graduation trip to Cancun?" "That was a gift," she snapped, the warmth gone, replaced with the ice of pure accusation. "You can't hold a gift over our heads." "A gift," I mused, staring at the empty wall of my apartment. "A gift is something you give freely, not something that's expected, not something that's demanded. You know how hard it is for your brother. Not everyone is as comfortable as you are." "Comfortable?" I laughed again, louder this time. "Is that what you call it? Working 60-hour weeks while he plays video games in your basement? Watching you shower him with praise for his potential while I'm nothing more than a walking ATM? You need to calm down," she snapped, her words clipped and sharp. "Family is about sacrifice." And the words were out of my mouth before I could stop them. A torrent of truth I'd held back for a decade. "Then you sacrifice something," I shouted into the phone. "Sacrifice that new SUV you and Dad bought. Sacrifice the little weekend getaways you keep posting on Facebook. Sacrifice Adam's precious struggle and tell him to get a damn job and pay his own way for once in his life." "Nick." There was a hiss on the other end. A sharp, wounded intake of breath. I don't recognize you anymore, Jacob," she whispered. "You're being cruel." "No, Mom," I said, my voice dropping back to that cold, clear calm. "I'm being clear." I let the silence hang there for a second. Let it fester. "I'm done." I hung up. The next call came 10 minutes later. "Adam and His voice was quieter, but somehow even more venomous than Mom's. "Bro," he started, the word dripping with condescension. "What is wrong with you? Mom's crying. Dad's freaking out. You just cut us off." "Yes." "Dude, you can't just do that. We're family." "No," I said softly. "We're not anymore." There was a beat of silence. I heard his breath catch. "Are you serious right now?" he whispered, the fake shock barely masking the fury. "All of this, because of some money. You've lost it. Because of money?" I hissed, the calm finally cracking. "You mean the money I've spent paying your rent, your credit card, your stupid streaming subscriptions? Or maybe you mean the money I used to keep the lights on at Mom and Dad's house because they were too busy pretending to be upper class to pay their own bills? You're such a..." "No," I cut him off. "I'm awake. I finally see it. You think I'm just the guy you call when your world is falling apart, the convenient solution, but I'm not your solution anymore." "You're being dramatic," he spat. But I heard it. The raw, naked fear beneath the anger. The terror of a parasite whose host just died. "You're really going to ruin Christmas over this?" "Christmas." I laughed again. It was becoming a habit. Was I even invited to Christmas? Or was I just expected to pay for it? "Noel, I can't believe you," he seethed. "You don't have to." Click. Dot. I was done. I was free. And then came the group text. The nuclear option. From Mom. Family meeting. Now. Everyone come to the house. I thought about ignoring it. I thought about turning my phone off, sinking into my quiet apartment and letting them scream into the void. But a dark, cold curiosity, a need for a final face-to-face closure, was already pulsing in my veins. So I grabbed my coat, and I drove. Me. And... Night City. We're serious. The house was lit up like a postcard. Warm light spilled from every window. The wreath on the door, with its fake holly and gold ribbon, seemed to mock me. I didn't knock. I just walked in. They were all there, arranged in the living room like a stage play. Mom, her face blotchy and tear-streaked. Dad, pacing by the fireplace, his fists clenched. And Adam, slouched on the couch, the glow of his phone illuminating his sullen face. "Finally," Mom cried, rushing toward me as if she was going to hug me. I took a step back. "Jacob, this has gone too far," she pleaded. "We're family. We don't just turn our backs on each other." "You did," I said. The two words dropped into the room like stones into a silent lake. The room froze. I saw the genuine shock in her eyes. The way Dad's pacing stopped cold. Even Adam looked up from his phone, his mouth falling slightly open. "You did," I repeated, my voice hard and clear. "The moment you closed that door on me, the moment you decided that my presence was conditional, the moment you laughed about me behind my back, thinking I couldn't hear." That's not true," Mom gasped. "Am I a son?" I asked, stepping further into the room, feeling the heat in my chest burn away the last of the cold. "Or am I an insurance policy? Because I was here when you needed rent. I was here when the roof needed to be fixed. I was here when Dad's car needed repairs. But on Christmas Day, I was the wrong house." "Jacob, you don't understand," Dad began, his voice low, almost pleading. "Then explain it to me," I challenged, looking him straight in the eye. "Explain to me why my support is a requirement, but my company is an inconvenience." He glanced at Mom, then at Adam. No one spoke. "Exactly." I turned to leave. "Wait!" Mom's voice was sharp, desperate. "You can't just leave. We're your family. Family means sacrifice." I cut her off, turning back. "Then start sacrificing, because I'm done." Adam jumped up from the couch, his face red with a mixture of rage and panic. "Oh, so what? You're just going to take your money and run? Go cry in your fancy apartment while we suffer?" "Suffer?" I laughed right in his face. "You're 24 years old and you still live off an allowance funded by your older brother. You don't know the meaning of the word. You're not suffering. You're freeloading." "Enough!" Dad's voice boomed through the room. "Jacob, we can fix this. Just come back. Help out like you always do." "Like you always do." There it was. The quiet part said out loud. "No." My mom's face twisted, her composure finally shattering into a million pieces. "Jacob, please," she sobbed. Real tears this time. "We're your family. We love you." I looked at her. I looked at my dad's stunned silence. I looked at my brother's twisted, hateful scowl, and I felt nothing. Nothing but that cold, clear certainty. "Love," I whispered, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. "You don't love me. You love my money. You love my help." "Me? I was just convenient." "Oh no." And then I turned, walked out the door, and left them standing in the warm, golden glow of their perfect hollow house. The cold bit at my face, but it felt like freedom. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I let it ring. Oh. Me. L. I woke up to silence. Not the anxious, heavy silence of waiting for the next crisis call, but a calm, clean, quiet. No missed calls. No desperate texts. Just the soft morning light spilling through my blinds. It was peace. Weeks passed. Then months. I embraced the emptiness. At first it was unsettling, the absence of chaos. But day by day, it began to feel like breathing fresh air after being trapped underwater for years. I worked, but for myself. I cooked meals and ate them slowly. I took long walks on Sunday afternoons without once glancing at my phone, waiting for it to ring. The world, of course, didn't stay unchanged. Mrs. Henderson, my elderly neighbor from my old street, stopped me one morning by the mailbox at my new apartment complex. "Jacob, dear," she'd said, her voice a low whisper filled with a mix of curiosity and pity. "I heard about your parents. They lost the house." I just nodded. "Your mother's telling everyone it's your father's fault for mismanaging things. And your brother, I saw him working checkout at the grocery store." I met her gaze. People have to work, Mrs. Henderson. Yes, but what happened, dear? She pressed, her eyes wide. I offered her a small, genuine smile. I just stopped paying for a house I wasn't welcome in. I left her there, her mouth slightly agape. That night, I found an old family album shoved in the back of my closet. I hadn't touched it in years. I flipped through the stiff, plastic-covered pages. Smiling faces. Summer picnics. Birthday cakes. There was a picture of me, maybe 7 or 8 years old, grinning from ear to ear, holding up a fishing rod Dad had given me. Young, happy, oblivious. My phone buzzed on the counter. A new message. An unknown number. I opened it. Jacob. It's Mom. We lost everything. Your father left. He says it's my fault. Adam won't speak to me. He blames me for pushing you away. Please, Jacob. I was wrong. We were all wrong. I was so proud and so stupid. I'm so sorry. Please, just come home. I stared at the message for a long, long time. My thumb hovered over the screen. The old Jacob, the fix-it kid, would have called. He would have caved. But he was gone. I tapped delete. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't even feel satisfaction. Just a quiet, powerful freedom. I put the album back on the top shelf, where it would gather dust. A part of my life, but only a part. A chapter, not the whole book. Stepping outside onto my small balcony, the crisp night air filled my lungs. The city lights stretched out before me, a million little stars on the earth. And for the first time in as long as I could remember, I smiled. Not because someone needed me, but because I finally didn't need them.